I say we just take the call and play it by ear, and then just see if there's something worth doing another call about.
Okay.
Um, because I think I know personally I've learned a ton, not just from the material in the course, but from the way you've executed copy hour. And I think
Okay.
that at least to me, there appears to be this huge like migration toward courses and course building software. You see Derek Halpern building something. I have a friend, Joshua Millage, that has Lifter LMS. There's Thinkific. There's all these different like Udemy. But I'm not sure on the throughput of the average course. But I also know that AppSumo and SumoMe and all those guys pay attention to data, and their list building technique is a free course. It's like different iterations of free email based courses. So there has to be something, I think, has to be something here. But I'm wondering, you seem, at least to me, to be like the guy in my limited exposure that's running killer courses that get people to actually engage and grow and get smarter. And so, I know that there's a ton personally I want to learn in how to use Aweber to actually execute on this thing as well as possible. And that's like very tactical and in the weeds. But I imagine that over the last couple of years, you've learned some things that are more high level strategy that probably transcend just, Aweber and building a course. And that have to do with like the actual messaging around it, which is the meat of your sandwich. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And definitely just fire away with whatever questions you have, because I think it's something that people need to start considering. And I think the reason you don't see it all that much, at least people delivering paid stuff via email, is just because nobody else is doing it. Everybody's focused on selling the how to create a course. But even then, they're not focused on necessarily the delivery. So you have these different software um, things to deliver the courses, but that's not based in email at all.
Right.
So, um, and there definitely could be a better integration, I think, especially with Copy Hour. For me, I think there could be a better integration of the email service with a software for delivering content in a more permanent place.
Yeah.
But yeah, the email stuff it's just the best way that I've found to deliver the courses. And if I notice over time, I don't know if you're recording right now or if you just want to keep rolling, but I've noticed over time. So basically, people will open a ton of the emails at the very beginning.
Right.
So I'll get something like 90 to 95% open rates on those first few emails. Obviously, somebody pays for something, they're going to open up that
Mm-hmm.
course. And over time, that still drops down. So by the end of it, over the course of, let's just say 90 days, because I have a 90-day, and then in the past I had the year long.
Mm-hmm.
So over at the end of 90 days, you'll get maybe a 50% open rate. And I don't know anybody, based on books, based on other online courses, based on anything, anybody that's getting somebody to get to getting 50% of people to get all the way to the end of a course.
Totally agree.
So
And
yeah.
that's why I'm interested, because I know every single email you've sent me, whether or not I've been able to execute the task the next day, I have
Hmm.
seen, and with well over the 50% success rate, I have read every word of at least your email. And I
Okay.
think that's, to me, I was like, well, he's got my attention. And so if I
Hmm.
want to teach something to someone, I personally believe that everything is about repetition, and that is the only, the Bruce Lee quote. I'm not afraid of a guy who's practiced one kick 1,000 times. I'm afraid of the guy who's done like 1,000
I know
kicks one
that.
time.
Yes.
The
Yes.
guy
Yeah.
who's done the one kick 1,000 times or 1,000 days. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And so very interesting. So I had a couple questions that I just kind of put out.
Sure.
One, and this is more thematic than anything. I'm going to a internet marketing thing in Austin tomorrow, and Tucker Max is going to be the keynote. And his topic is that information marketing is dying. Uh,
Mm.
and his argument is that uh, everyone's selling the information, and the information that you're selling is now being given away for free as lead gen for people that are have bigger pictures or at least have money to burn, and can lose on the front end,
Yeah.
right?
Sorry, I'm just.
And I'm wondering if you think that that's the case.
In a way, I think that that's accurate a lot, and I'd be really interested to hear what he has to say
Me
on the
too.
topic. But I think that's true in some ways. I'd need to think through it a little bit more to kind of really get my thoughts on it, because obviously it's an industry that's still going strong,
Yeah.
and in some ways it appears to be growing. But what I'm really selling with Copy Hour in a lot of ways, there is information involved, but I could really give that information away if
Exactly.
I had to. It's the accountability and that daily practice that I'm really selling when it comes down to it.
And
And yeah,
I totally agree with that, and um, I think that that is where the value lies in what
hmm
I'm trying to build in the course, because I don't I tend to agree, and his argument is a little different than mine might be, where he is just he's launching this book in a box business, which takes people normally tell you how to publish on Amazon and make $1,000 or whatever, and his thing is like, we're gonna write the book for you. We just interview you for like 12 to 15 hours, and then we have it transcribed, and you have a book, and we do everything else. You're just paying $30,000 to have a book made, and he argues that that's how things are going to trend. But I agree. Like I'm doing a course on mindset, and I don't think there's anything new really that I've heard of. There's a book mindset from the Stanford professor, but like that's none of the information there is new. Someone's said it before, whether or not they have the data to back it up. They've said it before. Um, but over the course of the days you spend getting these daily check-ins and that are engaging, your Facebook group is engaging, everything's engaging. Uh, you're actually paying for the accountability, which is invaluable if you're actually executing on the lessons.
yeah. The thing that's so great about the email delivery is everybody is completely overwhelmed with information, and there's just so much of it out there to try and wade through. And I mean, really, I guess what I'm selling is curation as well. So with
Totally.
the more information that's coming along, I'm kind of saying, okay, this is what you should focus on, or this is what's helped me. This is what I focus on whenever something comes across my desk or I get a new bit of information. Um, and that type of information publishing is the curation stuff is just going to get even more and more important, I think. Um, and obviously that's interesting on Tucker's perspective on that, because you could still sell the systems that you've got, right? They could still sell the information systems um, around what they're doing, how they're getting books onto Amazon, how they're actually talking to the authors. For the
Yeah.
guy that can't afford, or the business that can't afford $10,000 or however much his
Yeah.
service costs to get a book made, or even to sit down and talk to somebody, then you can still turn around and sell those systems. But I tend to agree that over time it's going to kind of morph. Like every industry changes,
Right.
and you just got to kind of adapt to it. And the information publishers that are hard, fast, I've got to stick to this specific way of delivering content and selling content, they're going to die, right?
Yeah.
If they don't adapt, they're going
Yeah.
to die. So you can still sell. You can still make look at tons of people are making a really good living selling information still.
Right.
But those people will slowly disappear over time if they don't adapt. And part of what people want now is curation, and they want that accountability, because that's really the hardest thing for everybody, including myself. I don't know
Mm.
if you struggle with it. Everybody
For sure.
struggles with it.
For sure.
Is taking that information that you get and implementing it. So and that's really what I've built with Copy Hour as well, is just the habit building of handwriting.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to convince you and sell handwriting and sell the habit and get you into that habit, because I think it's a helpful habit to just continue throughout your life, or throughout your career. Or a lot of people will do it for 6 months
Right.
or a year, and then you kind of take a step back, and then you figure out, if you don't know what business you're in, you figure out what business you want to go into, what kind of market, and you should kind of take a step back and then figure out, you start building your own materials, your own swipes, and your own handwriting
Yeah.
practice. So
I mean, it's incredible the amount of ideas that come when being a member in Copy Hour. Just like you see the way that people are saying things, and it just puts everything else that I see for the rest of the day in a new light. So I totally agree that the step back is necessary, but I feel like if you're even just have a pulse during the course, you have more ideas than you know what to do with. And that's a thing that you couldn't have if it were all delivered in one lump sum. Like if you just
for
handed
sure.
me a zip file of all the information that would happen in the course, it doesn't have the same power or weight. It would just sit on people's desktops.
Yeah, it really does. And that's the thing, like the old way of delivering information, it just ultimately ends up sitting on your desk. People buy and then they don't do anything with it.
Right.
So, marketers have developed these systems for getting people to consume the content. So you have your kind of post-purchase consumption email sequence that you
Right.
might send out to people. So, hey, look at this, point to it. Hey, this is, you want to look at this for XYZ reasons, and they'll point back to the content. But at the end of the day, if you can take that stuff out and actually deliver it via email, deliver it in some way that they can get it daily, that content, then having it there instead of just trying to get people to consume the content, you're just sending them the content that they can consume that way, if that makes sense. So,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
one of the things is that it's not platform specific. And so that's a beauty for me where I have friends that are building courses on Udemy, for example, or Udemy. And my concern is like, I've never gone to the platform. I don't think it's ever going to be like a default button on my tab. I think that so much is at risk in assuming that people are going to continue to go back to this other website to learn what it is that you want to teach them. But your information, no matter where I am, no matter where I'm traveling, comes via email to my phone, and I could execute it anywhere if I wanted to. And I think that's like a asset of these daily courses is that they don't live anywhere but like exactly where your consumer, needs them. And so,
I like
question,
that a lot. I haven't really even thought about it
yeah,
on that level, but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I am strongly against the idea of building any assets on someone else's platform. Um, Udemy, for example, as an example, your course is $200. It could be a $200 90-day or 60-day course delivered via Udemy. Perhaps, I don't know if they have a time delay thing, but as of like a week ago, Udemy has dropped every single course, no matter what it is, to max at $50.
Really?
Really.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
so everything about your business is now just, quartered, perhaps. Maybe you'll see more sales. I'm sure they have metrics to back up that decision, but you don't have a say. You're playing in their sandbox. Um, and so I see value in using third-party places, Amazon Publishing, Udemy, to do some lead gen, list building, give tiny things away that you don't mind if they end up putting the price to $0 or $1 or $10 or whatever. But when it comes to like the sweet stuff, I love the idea of having it send via email. And so I have some
Yeah.
more
Well, let's talk about
drilled
that for a
down.
second. Let's talk about that for a
Yeah.
second, because over time, and potentially even soon, email is going to change a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit. Um, and were some services that I was using that I really loved, like Mailbox, which they just killed,
Right.
and I don't know exactly why they killed it. But there's going to be stuff that comes up where somebody gets an email and they can just say, okay, I want to read this later.
Right.
That type of thing, which I'm going to have to adapt to, right? In certain ways, I'm going to have to try and work within that medium and figure out how to use it. Um, there, and I like and because of the fact that I'm changing and that I'm kind of keeping my ear to the ground and kind of going where people are going, that's why I created the Facebook group
Right.
where people are talking, because I found that people didn't want to log into the forum all the
Right.
time. People did not want to be there, but where are they every day? They're on Facebook. So I've kind of gone to them. And yes, it's more difficult. It's somebody else's platform, right?
Right.
It's Facebook's platform. Um, but because of what we're talking about with the daily accountability and uh, kind of going with where your customers are, that's why I've taken it to other places, trying to adapt. I don't I because of what I'm selling, because of the fact that I'm selling accountability and curation, I need to be going and interacting with people where they're at that specific time. So
Absolutely. And I would say that that happens after the purchase. And that's a perfect place to go to where people want to be, because that's
yep,
engagement focused, that's community building focused, but that's not sales focused.
yeah,
When you're selling it, right, you want to be in charge of the price you set, of the way you can message, the way that you can drive traffic, the way that you can do all these different things, and have it curated to exactly how you want it to be, and then to make sure that they actually consume it. I mean, yeah, that's we're in the hands of the changes Google makes to the inbox and the change to the iPhone or whatever it ends up being. Um,
yeah.
but
That's
but
smart. I like that.
but
That's a good way to look at it.
right, and I think that there's something that Ian Stanley, your buddy,
Hmm.
said once that I think is one of the best things on the topic, is that the game
Ian
is.
hardly ever says anything worth listening
Well,
to. Go ahead.
this one was really good, I thought,
Okay.
and it was the idea that, like, what's the best subject line, or how do you get, how do you maximize subject line? And I think that the idea that you want to get so good and so trusted and so believed in that you could send like blank subject lines, or you could write gibberish in your subject line and it's going to get opened. And I imagine there'll be steps to get there in the future. You're starring, and teaching people how to star using a GIF or a GIF to show exactly how they need to optimize their inbox so they always get your email. But I think there'll always be an ability to do that,
Yeah.
no matter
Yeah.
how the inbox
I
changes.
mean, okay, so that's a big part of Copy Hour and a big part of what I do with any of the courses and just
You've been using names in the subject line recently. I think it's
well,
really
yeah,
cool.
I think it
It's
I
fun.
may know why I do that. I think it's funny.
It is funny.
Um,
I like it. I really like it. I'm like, that's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So and I think humor too is something that people, I don't know, if you're good at it or if you're a funny person, I think you should try to be more funny in your marketing for sure, just because it's so important. Um, Sorry, I'm in the hot box of a
I
car and
can
there's
tell
people walking
it
all
looks
around me.
so hot.
Um,
I got the rainiest day here, and you're
no,
like
but
in
this
direct.
is the amazing thing about where we are as a as humans and technology. It's crazy. I'm sitting here looking at the water while we do this.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, like humor and liking and being in people's inboxes every single day, people uh, get to know you, and I probably make, and I don't know, I'd like to talk to some other people about this, but like I probably make money per subscriber that I have on my email list than anybody I know.
Yeah.
I don't think that anybody, I'm not saying I have a huge audience.
Right.
My audience is really small, but I have a pretty engaged audience who like and trust me. So if something happens where there's an issue at checkout or there's some sort of issue that's popped up, people don't approach me immediately with like, what the fuck, figure this out.
Yeah.
It's hey, Derek ran into this issue, and then
Yeah.
me or my wife can help them figure
Yeah.
it out. And it's like you know, it, so the customer service side of things is really nice, and obviously the monetary thing and the ability to be able to send out, create a new course or whatever we're creating at the time and send that out. And when I first launched the Copy Cartel, which I built with Ed Stapleton,
Right.
we closed 10% of my email list bought
Wow.
that course. So
Wow.
that's, to me, that's pretty powerful. Now, obviously, if you looked at my numbers as far as my email subscribers, you wouldn't be blown away. But I think per
Yeah.
email subscriber, the the because of the fact that I'm there, um, people get to see my personality every day. People get to know me a little bit through the emails, whatever. Um, I build a really good, strong relationship with people.
And that is the end game. The end game is the relationship.
Yeah.
My thought, and I've said this to people before, is like, if you want to take the most doomsday prep like perspective of how things could go and say that like money disappears in the future, what is
Hmm.
value? What is the only currency left? And I think that's your ability to influence. And I can speak personally to your ability to influence. Like, you point anything out, I'm going to check it out with 100% openness to the idea that this will be valuable to me. Um, and I'm wondering, and
Yeah.
I want to respect your time. Could we quickly dive deep into some tactical, strategic things that you've done in your courses in the past, or what you're seeing?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and to transition into that, one
Yeah.
tactical thing to keep in mind is that your shelf life as somebody that is uh, that people know and respect and get to know and like. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people have been on my list for a long time, and I still have kind of that loyal group of people. But the vast majority of people over time start to kind of fade, right? So
Atrophy. Yeah.
yeah, you get popular in people's minds for a while, and then you're gonna fade out, and that's just the reality of life. It's just kind of how things happen,
Yeah.
right? So there's somebody, think of a guru or somebody that you like. Over time, you kind of move on to the next guy,
Yeah.
right, or the next girl. So with the email subject lines, tactically in the beginning, people are going to just open your stuff regardless, right? But over time, tactically, you have to re-engage them, and you have to insert some better subject lines or get a little bit more creative in order to say, oh, I got to open this now.
Right.
That curiosity element, or however
Right.
you're going to do it. Because over time, you kind of you lose that power that you have in the beginning, where with what Ian was saying, that goal is to get to that level.
Yeah.
um, Over time, just with the way we are, it's, I'm going to open every email from my wife. I'm going to open every email from my best friends,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to open every single email from a marketer, even if it's a really good friend of mine and I know them. So unless they hook me back in with
Right.
some sort of curiosity based
And I
thing. So
I feel like the pattern break that I've always seen
pattern break.
is the email, that subject line is so clearly not a subject line,
Hmm.
where it's like, this is thinking of you, like that type of a subject line is like, oh, this was not an email. Oh wait, it is an email, um, but still he's got me. And
Hmm.
so if someone were to want to start, or thinks that they have stuff to teach or to communicate, how Aweber is what you're using, also what I'm using, it seems to be the option
Yeah.
right now.
So, well, tell me a little bit about who would potentially be watching this. Is this somebody that's thinking about
I'm
creating a course, or
not even
somebody,
sure.
say somebody's to that level where they want to get going.
I'm
They want to get.
thinking I'm thinking that this could be a copy hour student who realizes their niche, and says, okay, so I've been writing content pieces, I've been following everyone's best practices, like my blog isn't getting a ton of traffic, but I know this stuff. Can I use a course as list building? Can I use a course to be the first revenue generating thing that I do that has some future potential of scalability? Like, um, they see copy hour and are inspired like me, and just outside of knowing that you use Aweber, like, what is the strategies that you might recommend?
Well, I would say for the way that I deliver copy hour, Aweber makes the most sense
Okay.
for me, and that's real, like, small technical details that I don't know if anybody else is going to run into those same issues per se.
Timing
Um,
for the subscriber, was that pretty much it?
so if for some reason somebody gets delayed on getting an autoresponder, for example, so
Hmm.
say I have a 30-day autoresponder, and on message 15, something happens with Aweber where that message doesn't get delivered, and
Hmm.
this happens. I have it set up so that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all emails are day specific because I don't want people getting an email on Sunday when they're most likely not going to be there, right? Or Saturday night.
Right, right,
So some people will not even pay attention to that stuff and just say, I'm just going to, once they're in, they get an email. Whenever they start,
right.
whatever day. But I don't do that. I want to have it day specific. So if somebody gets caught up on, say, message 15 and they don't receive that, and this happens in Aweber for whatever reason, like a couple years ago, it was these DDoS attacks or whatever they were, and people got caught up with a lot of other autoresponders. I can't go in and just change the message that people are on and bump them back in the system.
Hmm.
This is like super technical,
Which
but
is which is important to
yeah,
me at this point.
for me that doesn't work. It's not easy. So like with Active Campaign, another one that I use, I basically have to go in, tag that person, create all kinds of weird automation things that will get them to go back into the system,
Right,
and it just doesn't work. It
right.
just is too much of a cluster. So for me, Aweber just fills that specific need
Yeah.
of delivering the course. Now, if you don't care about what days people are going to get stuff, if you just want to say if they sign up on a Tuesday, they get their first email Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever,
Right.
on and on, that's fine. I would say any sort of email autoresponder is going to work. You know, Aweber, Active Campaign, any of them,
Yeah.
any of the newer ones, I'm sure will be fine. The autoresponder stuff.
That's a good point.
Um, so, and I like to have my stuff um, day specific and time zone specific.
Right.
So uh, after somebody buys, unfortunately, they have to go in and re-sign up with an Aweber form because of the way that Aweber integrates with most shopping carts. Is you're going to get people put onto the Aweber or your shopping cart server or even your hosting. You're going to get put onto that time zone. So I was having people show up in Texas, everybody. So
Interesting.
I have to get people to sign up via Aweber on a form uh, on their own after they join.
Do you have a couple more minutes? Is that okay? Are you hard stop before?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was something you did tactically in the last time I remember you launching Copy Hour that I thought was tremendous, and I don't know how you did it.
Mhm.
What cart are you using? Because you allowed the customer to like bid or propose a price, and if it like met a threshold, it seemed like it was greenlit, and if it was low, you were like, "Come on, man! Like this is like super valuable stuff." I thought that was one of the coolest checkouts I've ever experienced, and I
Yeah,
tested it to see if what I assumed was about to happen did happen. I thought it was so great.
yeah. So that was Wufoo,
That's okay.
Wufoo forms for that, and that's real easy to make with them, and
Interesting.
they integrate with Stripe. Um, that's
Huh.
something the pay what you want pricing is something that I really want to experiment with. The problem that I've had, and it's potentially something I need to just get a developer to help me with, is integrating that with affiliate stuff.
Right.
So I use Samcart on the January launch, and that they don't have a pay what you want type of option.
Right.
And I wanted to use them because I had just a few affiliates that wanted to send traffic. So um, that's the problem that you run into there. And
Hmm.
I don't know, from a pricing perspective, the pay what you want stuff gets a lot of attention, and it's potential that I might move into that pricing more in the future,
Yeah.
just because it does generate so much attention. Um, and I just want it to make sense. People need to pay a certain amount because we all know this, but the more that you pay, the
Hey,
more that you pay attention, and
absolutely.
it's 100% true. And it's true in my life. It's true in my business. So I'm sweating.
Thank you so much for dealing with the heat in
No,
that car.
it's my own fault. I should probably just turn the car on and see if I can get some air
Well,
going. So
I, I'll tell you
yeah,
that that pricing strategy, I didn't know how to execute it, but I tested it myself. My first time through, I built a 21-day course on mindset, right, based off of Ian's recommendation of As a Man Thinketh, right?
mm,
And I wrote the email for it using copy hour inspiration. On a Wednesday, course was due to launch Sunday night into Monday.
okay,
Got like 27 people signed up. I said I was going to greenlight it if 5 did. You know,
nice.
first email, goose egg, nothing came. Second email, people trickled in. I said in the second email like that I had already had 5 and it's happening because I just wanted to make the course. It's ready to do it
Yeah.
for free. Priced it at pay what you want. I made all sorts of, so using Samcart, built all kinds of different discounts, like every 10% plus a $21 version plus a free version. And I wrote
Okay.
in the copy, tell me what you want as low as you want, but understand that you will be invested as you invest. And I set the price at 100. Then I put another thing at the very end, in like the PS area. Um, and if $100 is forgettable to you, say the word, and I'll change the price to let you pay more. And my average, like I was gonna do it for free. My average commission or sale price was $51 on the first time through.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. That's great.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's
Yeah.
like uh, I'm like fully convinced. I have a course that's, I mean, what is it? It's the ninth. It's 40 days old or so.
Hmm.
And I've done $2,400 in revenue with no one at all sending traffic, no one even knowing that it exists, a list of less than 300 people. And I think that's pretty fucking cool that, you know, a course that promises accountability, promises commitment, promises to return your investment based on how hard you go, can be executed as simply as what it is that you've built and have inspired me to build. And I'm just like, there has to be other people that just assume it's really really hard, or that want to build something out that's like crazy robust. Um,
I'll tell you the kind of a counterpoint to it being hard. It's actually a lot easier. So some of the technical stuff maybe is a little bit more confusing. It's not just they buy and you send them a PDF,
right.
right? There's more technical stuff that's going to go into it. But you can launch these things without having the complete course done. And
I was building the plane on the way down. I
yeah,
like at
so,
best in the first time through, it was like 3 emails out
yep.
ahead of where
So
people were.
at any given time with Copy Hour, I'm not very far ahead. And the reason for that is because I need to slow things down. Um, because as you know, and this will be different for everybody. So I think that you can, if you have say you write an ebook, just break it up and deliver it via email. No one's going to get mad. Some people will be like, "Oh, send it to me. I want it all now,"
Yeah.
and those people suck. So I'll be just a few emails ahead of people, and because part of it is the handwriting stuff. Some people can fall behind, or
Right.
it's just too much. Um, so I need to kind of keep my ear to the ground on that and just make sure that everybody's doing fine with that stuff. And then I can also tailor the ads to be a little bit more relevant. But yeah, so I mean, you can launch this thing with only your first few emails done,
Yeah.
and then just put them into the queue and go from there. So it's actually a lot easier, and it's a way to test to see whether or not people are going to buy.
Yeah.
Um, and the pay what you want stuff is brilliant as well. Like you said, I mean, that's amazing. That's great that happened. You just want to be a little careful with sometimes the quality of people that'll come in the door. But people do
Yeah.
understand, and especially when you're selling something that's accountability, selling something that's curation, not necessarily unique methodology.
Yeah.
Then having that pay what you want pricing makes a lot of sense to people.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I wasn't afraid of it, and I think it'll evolve to have a price floor, is that there's literally no one that is following me that at this
Hmm.
point doesn't have a very good understanding of who I am and know me personally, or has been introduced to who I am, uh, you know, with some sort of context of like 1 degree of separation. I don't have that many random internet people that finding me right now. So I wasn't
Yeah.
worried about saying I'll give this away for free if you're my, if you're on my list, because pretty much everyone on my list is a friend.
Yeah.
Um,
Got it.
but the future version, I think there's going to be a price floor and potentially it's an automate. So, and I'm walking through every single day with these people, live interactions via email. Um, but the
Yeah.
pricing tiers in the future, or like a start when you want it, how you want it, but you don't have the same type of call to action to like engage with me every day. All sorts of ideas, which are cool, I think.
Yeah, the thing that's great. All right, so we have two separate ideas here, right? You've got the pay what you want pricing, and then we also just have the email delivering a course via email, right?
And you moved away from that, if I'm not mistaken. Like there was a time where you could sign up for Copy Hour whenever.
Yes, we can talk about that in a second.
Okay, sorry.
Uh, but what I was going to say is the having having your price point be a different, unique selling opportunity is extremely powerful, right? So you not only have what you're selling, which people want to buy, now you're also adding in like a unique mechanism, or you're adding in a unique pricing structure that's a way to market that gains attention.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, "Hey, my price is this," and that's what it is. Now, if you go in and you actually talk about your price in a unique way, that's just another thing that people can point to and share and be like, "Oh, it's really cool. You got to check this out." Oh, and he's got this really interesting price point,
Yeah.
this really interesting pricing thing. It's just like another thing that you have there. Same with the deliverability. If my course might be attractive, like, okay, I want to learn how to write copy, sales copy. That's an attractive thing I want to learn. But then I can also sell on the fact that, oh, and I've got this unique delivery system which you can use.
Got it. As opposed to
People,
buying the book on how to write effectively or write sales copy, and it's a
yeah,
book.
it's
This is
just
a unique
one more.
mechanism. Got it.
Yep, it's just
And
one more little thing that you can sell, that's attractive to people. Um, so if you can there's like that stuff that's in your close or uh, of your sales letter. If that stuff itself is not just like giving information, but also like an attractive marketing piece, that's powerful to me. So
right on. And I
yeah,
trust you. I trust your opinion of sales copy
yeah,
with anybody. So awesome.
yeah.
And then I guess my last question would be you pivoted away, I believe, from start when you want to groundswell launch campaigns, and I'm wondering if that was metric driven, or is it still in the test phase?
It's test phase because I've had it both ways. Right when I first started doing it, it was groups. So we get groups in the door and they go through it. That's closed after that. And then I've had it open all the time. What I've found, and then what I'm still trying to figure out, is how to get people motivated to stick around long enough, and to keep doing the handwriting stuff and be interactive enough, that I cannot have. I don't want to do the launches all the time
Right.
necessarily. I think it would be better if it was open all the time, for me. But people really seem to like that group experience. But it's those first like 30 days that people are really engaged,
Hmm.
and then I've noticed that engagement kind of trail off a little bit with just like the group going through it together.
Yeah.
And that might be specific just to copy hour. I don't know if other people will run into that problem, if you're just delivering something via email over the course of 30 to 60 days or whatever.
Right.
But the group experience of copy hour itself, I need to figure out how to nail that a little bit more.
Uh,
Um, so I'm still testing the idea of keeping it closed. It's closed right now. Like, you
yeah.
can't join. You won't be able to join until April. So after that point, it might be more of a, um, I'll have some lead gen there, or somebody comes to the website, they can go through a sequence. I can build up the exercise. I can talk about it a little
Yeah.
bit more, and then the cart will open for, 7 days or however I'll do it. But, yeah, still kind of testing that stuff.
Okay. Did you notice conversions were different? Because that was my assumption, was less engagement driven, though that was a thought, but it was more, um, it gives people an out, saying, well, I can buy it, next week, or like this isn't a great week for me, like, or this month isn't going to be a great month for me.
Yep.
I can come back and I'll get it, as opposed to shit, I gotta do this. Like, now is the time, literally, or I wait until next quarter or next year or whenever.
Yeah. So definitely your conversion rate goes up, right? Um, and people are like, they want to join at that specific time and get in then. But what I've found is that I've had people emailing me now, because I send a simple sequence of, and I'm just kind of adding to it, of emails after some, if you go to the site now and then you opt in,
Hmm.
and people are asking to get in now. My worry is that if that thing's closed, people are gone.
Yeah, you're leaving money on
So
the table. Yeah.
yeah, they're just, people are gone because, it's such a weird exercise itself. Um, B, if it's January 3rd, the cart's closed, I have to wait until April. Well, I don't know. I'm gone anyways
Yeah.
with this guy. Um, so I'm still, to be honest, I'm really still figuring
Figuring it
out
out.
with Copy Hour, the best way to do it. Um, so that's my answer for that, I
Cool.
guess.
No,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's fair, and that's true. A thought comes to mind around the way Neville has his just list sequence that happens,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
uh, people day 7 or day 10 of his welcome series get this
Hmm.
like beautiful email, informative teaching with like a strong call to action. And if you just go and check out like his blog posts that show up, re-sign up for his mailing list, like opt out, go back in. Um, every day there are people commenting on these blog posts who, I'm pretty sure, assume that he had just written the blog post, like
Mm.
think that it's
Yeah.
new. And I'm wondering if it's like somehow, pull out the pre-formatted date and timestamps on comments,
Hmm.
and like a future version are these like hidden pages that Google can't find. I don't know how that works, but like Google can't find these pages, or password protected membership site stuff,
Yep.
um, where the comments all feel live for people. Could
Yeah.
could be interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. That's a really good idea. Is that how he works it?
No, his are all time and date stamped.
This time? Yeah.
But my thought was that's just what my mind went to when you're like, people are engaged early and then it dies off towards the end of the campaign. I see that in my own just 3 week thing. You're doing it 90 days.
Yeah.
Um, and so if people are destination driven, to where the everything else they can read, like, and you're saying check out other people's responses or how they're experiencing it in their own life, and they see it and like they read a couple other people's things with less of a context of like, if this person wrote it in 2014 or in 2016,
Yeah.
that could be interesting.
That could be interesting. I like that a lot. I lost my train of thought. I was thinking something, and then now
Sorry.
it's gone. Isn't that weird how that works?
Always does.
Um,
Sorry.
it seems to be happening more as I get older. Uh, yeah.
Oh,
Part of what I'm trying to do is really go with what the customer wants,
right.
right? And sometimes the customer doesn't know what they want.
Classic.
And so, I was thinking for a long time there that the group aspect was what people needed in order to get excited about things. And it still might be, in a way. And that's why I went to the launch
Yeah.
format that I had, because having that group there is kind of, we've had some like magical runs of Copy Hour over the last 4.5 years where there's like just the right mix of people, and it's the right mix of assignments and people going through together, and there's this really strong sense of community, and that's when we get guys coming out of it, like Dan Ferrari and some of these other dudes that have gone on to be major copywriters.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there are guys like Dan Meredith who went through when I had it open all the time, and he was able to do it without like the big group being there all the time, to walk him through it. So I'm still trying to figure out what the best way for this particular course, what the best way for people to do it. So, I'm just trying to listen to people and kind of not even necessarily listen, but just watch and understand what's working best for them. And with this particular round of Copy Hour, there was a major drop off in our Facebook interaction. Even when I start prompting people more to post their own writing, there was a major drop off around 30 days from just the Facebook group.
Yeah.
I know that people are still reading the emails because I still have a high open rate going, but the problem is that group interaction. So I'm thinking, to me, that signals, okay, maybe this group element isn't exactly what people need or want, and it doesn't have to be closed all the time.
Right.
So I don't know.
So I don't need. We can wrap this. I've had you for far longer than I expected to, and I really, really appreciate the conversation. That's have cool. Now ideas, and in hopes of being in service, and ideas might seem something like, you have the opt-in on your site for when the course is closed. I think I cannot remember the first time I saw Copy Hour. I feel like, did you have an AppSumo thing, like a 7-day?
Yep.
I feel like that might have been my first exposure to you. Okay. And I'm wondering if a micro course, non-time or day specific, something like a 3-week thing that I'm running, that's priced like crazy. Like, it's something, if the 90-day course is $200, this 21-day on your own course is also $200, where it's like, clearly I want you to be in the program, but if you're dying for this stuff, here is this other thing that's yours. The throughput would be awesome on that. People would love you for like bending the rules. And
that's interesting.
It's like this. It's this thing. It's not for sale. You don't. But like I'm working on it. Something like that. Like there's could be cool messaging around it. And you're like, but I have to price it high because you just happened to miss the starting whistle, or like you slept or you just didn't know, and that's not your fault. But like, I can't give this stuff away. This is the next thing. Done. People are buying that for whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Hey, Tony, write it. I'll send it out.
Very cool. And then I guess my last question is, this email came out today from you on your first 4-figure client. Seems very exciting. Are you co-championing that? Is that yours? Are you?
No. So this is Rob Hanley.
Rob Hanley.
This is one of my good friends. He's in Thailand right now. So he's in Chiang Mai, and he is a consultant, and then he also has his own publishing company that he's getting off the ground.
Cool.
And so he developed this. He developed a course. It's a 35-day email course, and his is not day specific necessarily, because people are doing that all the way through. But it walks you through his process for emailing potential clients, and then that entire process walking them through to the end of getting a client. Awesome. And how to price yourself and all that. So what I've done, Copy Hour for me was a accidental business, which I guess is like a really good business to be in.
Was it Email 1K or First 1K? Was it a Noah Kagan result or no?
Oh, no. So this was 4 or 5 years ago.
Got it.
That I developed Copy Hour after reading a ton of Gary Halbert.
Got it.
So I kind of fell into that business, and then from there, what I've done is I've published a bunch of other people. So Ian, who I'm now business partners with. So Ian started out as he came to me with, he had written a ton of emails for just various different companies. And he had kind of a system, and he had templates for the emails that he was sending, millions of them. So we published that together, or it's his course, but I did it as an affiliate. But it was he uses the same methodology as Copy Hour with the email delivery of all of his email course, which is like email inception.
Funnel Monthly, or
that's 80/20 email copy.
Email copy. Got it.
And then we have Funnel Monthly, which is just kind of a straight up newsletter on all the marketing finds and just the new tactics and some strategy stuff, but mainly just the marketing tactics, because Ian's working for a huge company right now, and they're kind of on the cutting edge of different stuff related to VSLs.
Yeah.
So we have that VSL course together, which Ian helped me make, and he's kind of pioneering his own way of doing VSLs, which is really cool. And then so we have Rob. People were looking to, well, I have the Cartel first, which is Ed Stapleton Jr., who I'm diving in deep on. All
awesome. I'm gonna look up all these.
Care about.
I'm gonna look all these people up, and there'll be links if this is published. I'll have ways to find all these dudes.
So I was in New York and met Ed through another entrepreneurial forum, and I was telling him about Copy Hour, and I was like, yeah, people really want training on becoming freelance copywriter and consultants. And he's like, oh, cool. I do that. I send out this like crazy direct mail stuff where he sends like lobster toys and everything else to people in the mail, to potential businesses that he wants to work with. And I was like, okay, that sounds amazing. Let's make a course.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been my strategy. Is I'm kind of like that personality that is just curating and finding all this cool stuff that I think people are going to want. And that's really been a lesson that, I don't know, I could impart to people, is that you just kind of listen. And a great person to talk to and to look at is Ryan Levesque. But you just listen to what people want. And it's, they're not going to say exactly what they want all the time, but if you watch closely enough, your customers will tell you exactly what you want. And as long as you're willing to go out there, if you don't have that expertise, then you go find somebody that has it, and you can serve your customers. Because if you're not doing that, then they're just going to move on to the next person, and you're not really serving them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
Cool. No, this went like substantially better than I think my wildest hopes for the call. Thank you.
Cool.
Dude.